Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Jonathan back in with the weekly scuffle, and I'm here to talk about the Miami Heat's offseason so far, pre Damian Lillard trade, because that has not happened yet. And of course, like many Heat fans, I am also tired of waiting. So I just want to take a look at all the moves we've done so far and to see how they affect our team and how exactly we are looking as far as a roster at this point in time. And starting off with, of course, bringing back Kevin Love. I think this is a great move because after last season, he was very much a leader. Him and I believe Kyle Lowry were really two guys in the locker room that you could look at, and two guys who have championship experience. Other than them two, I believe it was UD who had championship experience, and having those two guys in the locker room really helped out. And with Kyle Lowry more than likely leaving in a Damian Lillard trade package, I think Kevin Love coming back was essential, especially because there was moments in the playoffs where we desperately needed size and rebounding, and also somebody that could play next to Bam, which Kevin Love provided all of those things, and great hustle plays, taking charges, doing all of the little things, grabbing boards. Honestly, I really love the Kevin Love re-signing. I think that's a great move by the Heat. And of course, I got to talk about Gabe Vincent and Max Strus leaving. And with those two leaving, I think it was bound to happen. We just didn't have cap space. And if Dame comes in, I think the loss of Gabe Vincent is pretty minimal. But then if you trade out Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, and then you see Max Strus left, I think at that point you're like, oh, well, we have no shooters in the rotation at this point other than Dame himself. And that's going to be very interesting to see what the trade package is exactly. If we can potentially keep a Duncan Robinson, which who knows, but I think either way, I think Max and Gabe were most likely gone. I kind of dislike losing Gabe a little bit more than Max, but either way, I think those two guys were solid players, but they were inconsistent at times, and I think their loss overall will not impact us negatively, especially because we signed Max Strus's replacement in Josh Richardson. I think Josh Richardson coming back is probably the most underrated move of almost any team. I don't think people are really giving that credence. I think him and Bam, their relationship has always been top tier, and I think Josh Richardson is an amazing player. He was great in Miami. He was the trade catalyst for the Jimmy Butler trade, and honestly, I think that was a great move. And of course, Thomas Bryant, who I personally love, having seen Cody Zeller and Dwayne Dedman the past few years, I think someone like Thomas Bryant could definitely develop very well in our system and could potentially have a Caleb Martin-esque season where, he's developed into a very good guy who's contributing very well in the playoffs and potentially goes crazy and wins you a playoff game, as crazy as that sounds, because I think Thomas Bryant is still 25 years old, has a lot of potential, and the Heat are kings at unlocking that type of potential in players that are somewhat overlooked by the rest of the league. But with that being said, I think these two moves really improve our chances of competing next season with or without Dame. I'm assuming with. And of course, lastly, people that we could still potentially target. I do like these three guys specifically in Goran Dragic, Justice Winslow, and Christian Wood. I think there's still, of course, a lot more options that we could look for and probably will go after. And I assume the Damian Lillard trade, it's something that is going to be a potential multi-team trade. So I expect us to gather some assets as well in players like maybe a Sadiq Bey, who has been mentioned, people of that caliber. But Christian Wood, Goran Dragic, and Justice Winslow are all guys who I think could come in and contribute almost right away. I think Goran and Justice, both off the bench, with maybe Josh Richardson, would be an amazing backup unit. I think they would solidify our backup unit, and they all know the system. So I think those two guys coming in would really help us out. And I think Christian Wood is just kind of tailor made for the Miami Heat. He could potentially start alongside Bam and provide instant offense with Bam anchoring down on the defensive side of the board. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where Christian Wood lands. I believe he has like some tweets with Damian Lillard suggesting that he potentially would like to come to the Miami Heat. He isn't drafted, so he fits that mold. But that being said, we'll see how all this plays out. I think currently, I probably grade our offseason a B because we haven't made that many moves, but I assume after the Dame trade or when the Dame trade happens, we will add a few more pieces here and there. So with that being said, we'll see how all this plays out. I see you next time. Peace.